Hello everyone, welcome back again. In this video, we'll be working with servlets, and we will see how to process data which you receive from HTML forms. Okay, we have already worked with HTML forms. How you can receive the data and how you can actually process them at the servlets. Okay, so we'll be looking at that one, and we will also be looking at how we can actually process HTTP headers. Okay, we'll also be seeing how we can actually process HTTP status codes. Let's proceed with the things. Okay, while learning HTML, we have already learned HTML forms actually allow users to enter information into the fields. Okay, say for example to collect personal information, opinions, info, polls, or user preferences, etc. So we already discussed there are two basic components in a web form: the shell, where the part that the user actually fills out, and then the JavaScript and the scripts which actually process the information. Okay, there will be two types of scripts which will be processing it. The JavaScript, which will be processing locally at the client itself, at the client browser itself, which you have seen already, okay, earlier lectures. And then we also have started seeing how once the form is submitted, server-side programming, how it can be handled as well. Okay, and as part of these videos, we are seeing how these forms can be processed in Java servlets. Okay, so that's what we will be learning. Okay. Of course, we use HTML tags for creating this shell form. Okay, so basically using these text boxes, radio buttons, check boxes, drop-down menus, etc. We already have seen these things. So earlier while learning HTML, this is the form which we have developed. Okay, so here I am trying to collect the opinion of all of you guys. So basically the idea is first name, last name you are providing, and you are also providing whether you have a laptop, okay, which has a drop-down menu. And then supporting operating systems, Windows, Ubuntu, etc. Okay, and could you finish the assignment in time? So you will set whether yes or no, and then if there are any further comments, you will put here, and then there is a submit button and reset button. Okay, this is all plain web forms, HTML forms, which we have already checked through. Okay, interestingly, during the last time itself, we have observed when you click the submit button, once you actually put all the information, when you click the submit button, okay, by default the forms method for submission is get method. Okay, so whether you mention it or not, by default the method is get, and here is the action is the form servlet. Okay, before that one there can be a Java servlet which actually can process all the things on submit or whatever it is, but the idea is I am ignoring that one as part of these videos. And then once you actually click the submit button, it is the form servlet which is the servlet which is being invoked. Okay, it may be the servlet can be exactly with the same name, or it can be with a different name. We have already seen how we can actually annotate a servlet, and then you can specify a specific address. Okay, in this case this is the servlet which is existing at form servlet. So at localhost :8080 test servlet /form servlet. Okay, so as I mentioned, once you have submitted that document, all the parameters, since by default the method is get, all the parameters are actually appended to this sort of URL. Okay, so the parameter data is the web-log for arguments. Okay, so the way you send arguments to the functions method calls. So in web-log you will be sending this parameter data. There can be multiple parameters here. Say for example, here is first name, so which is Satish, okay, and the last name. So multiple parameters are actually separated by this ampersand. Okay, order of parameters does not matter. All parameters are strings, values are strings. Okay, parameters and values both are strings. And if there are any special characters, then we have to use URL encoding, okay, to represent non-alphanumeric characters or something like that. Okay, so now you know how you can actually submit the forms. Okay, and then also remember there can be at certain times there can be the same parameter can have multiple values. Okay, so in our form the operating system supported by that laptop, we have OS as the parameter name, and it has Windows as one value and Ubuntu as a second value. Okay, this is also very interesting. So we will see how the servlet can actually process all this sort of information. Okay, so when you are submitting it, it is actually going as this form of URL. Okay, so it is attached to the URL. This is how the method get works. Okay, and it is the default method. Of course, you can also send the data in the using the method post. Okay, Then the URL is simpler, so all these parameters are not appended to the URL. Okay, the data is actually hidden to the people. It is actually sent in the form of HTTP body. We have also seen the HTTP protocol earlier. Okay, so all these parameters are sent in the HTTP body. Since they are sent in the HTTP body, okay, so you can send much bigger information. In the URL, generally the maximum length possible is 2048 characters. Okay, so in some browsers, I even restrict them to 256 characters. Okay, and this is a parameter you can also set as well. Okay, so in browsers. So of course, so when you are sending the large amounts of data, so basically like method post is very good because you can actually send it through HTTP body. Okay, it can also send special characters as well. Okay, so you can even upload files as well. Okay, so that's the interesting thing about method is equal to post. So great. Now you have the form. You have sent all the information to the server for processing. The server has started a servlet. Okay. Now how the servlet actually processes it. Okay. The servlet has several methods for that one. Okay. So the servlet, we already have seen the server actually creates this request and response object, and it actually passes these both the things into the do get method or do post method. Okay. So now at the servlet using the request dot get parameter, the parameter name, you can actually get the value of that parameter. Returns URL decoded value of the first occurrence of the name in query string. Okay. So remember this one, the first occurrence. Okay. So earlier we have given the parameter name as OS, and then like it has Windows and then like Linux as well in two different places. It will take only the Windows. This method works identical for both get and post requests. Okay. And it returns null if no such parameter is in the query data. Okay, so remember that one. Okay, so this is how like request.get parameter works. And then like say for example like if you have multiple values, okay, say for example then you can actually search for request.get parameter values of the name. Okay, say for example in the earlier example like OS, which has Windows and Ubuntu. Okay, so this returns an array of URL decoded values. It returns an array of all occurrences of the name in a query string. So it will return an array with Windows and Linux. Okay. If we don't have multiple parameters, okay, if the parameter is not repeated several times, it returns in one element array. If the parameter is not repeated, okay, and again, like if the parameter is not in the query, it returns a null. Okay, so both of them behave the same in this case, both the methods. But of course, like if you know the parameter name, you will actually extract it like this. But if you want to extract all the parameters, then you can use this request.get parameter names. Okay, or like request.get parameter map. Okay, so these things actually return either enumeration or map of the request parameters. Okay, let's try to see this one with the demo. Great. Okay, so here is the opinion form. Okay, so which is okay, so basically like we have already seen this one. Okay, so the opinion form, which is in a web page. Okay, so basically like form method get, and then like it has all this sort of input for these sort of different text input, and then like check boxes, radio buttons, and everything. Okay, so generating this form, we have already seen it, so we actually know about it. Again, this opinion form is generated and it will be saved in this web content folder. So along with this index, now we have the opinion form as well. Okay. Once we have the opinion form, then I have written this HTTP handle opinion servlet. Okay, so which is here. So let's look at it, this in detail. So again, like I have given a web servlet annotation, so which is form servlet. That is how like we are seeing like it is handled by this. You are sending, once you send it, it will be handled by /form servlet. Okay. So again, the default method is like it. The servlet has to extend HTTP servlet. That is clear. Now I am actually trying to process it in the do get method. So I have access to the request and response. Okay. And then like again, like I am setting like response dot set content type text/html, and I got this print writer for writing the response, and to the response like I am actually writing a HTML document. That is how like the response is actually generated as a HTML document. Okay, So basically, like once it is saved, okay. So what I am trying to do is like doc type. I am creating a string, okay. So I have given a title for that one, handle title. So basically HTML head, and then like I have given the title. This is all standard. Then in the body, like what I am doing is like I am creating a title, okay, align title, okay, H1 with the center title again, okay, and then like I am actually pushing all the things out already, the HTML. The critical thing which I am doing as part of this servlet is, so I am actually thanking that person. So first name and last name, you see, this Satish Srirama. Okay, so whatever the so again, like for your information, whatever the opinion form which I have generated, so I can actually see it here. Okay, so so test servlet's opinion form, okay, dot html. Okay, so what I am trying to do is like once you put this information, I am trying to read this first name and last name, which are actually getting as the parameters as f name and l name. So what I am doing is I am just thanking you, and from the request object, request.get parameter. So this is what we are actually trying to see in this demo. Okay, request.get parameter f name, which I will be getting whatever the name which is sent here. Okay, and then like I will be also using this last name as well. Okay, so using request.get parameter last name. Okay, and then like I'm constructing the remaining HTML document, and then like I'm pushing it out, and then like once it is done, like I will also close all the things. Okay, so that's it. So basically like body and HTML I have closed. Simple, isn't it? Now let us try to see like so again, like once I have the servlet already, all I will be doing is like so basically like I will go start this one, okay, so and then like I will run on the server. Okay, so the good thing about Tomcat is like every time like there is some changes which are added to the text, okay, the servlet will be automatically loaded. Okay, say for example I just add something here and then like I save it. Okay, okay, so the Tomcat server will automatically be loaded. See, you can see it is automatically getting updated. So now let us go to the form. Okay, so and then say for example let us fill the information. Okay, so Satish Srirama. Okay, I am sending Windows Ubuntu, and then like okay, I can finish the assignments. I am not adding any further comments. Okay, so it's simple. So let me submit. See, that's it. So this is a servlet which is actually handling, okay, the response from the user. So I have used Satish.Sriram. I have actually extracted using these get parameters. Okay, this is how you actually work with form data. Okay, now that you know, so even this opinion one, you see like the changes were automatically configured for you. Okay, let's move back to the lecture. Great. Now the interesting thing is, so in the example, like I have simply read like the first name and last name. It's always interesting. It is always you have to check for whether there is null or like missing parameters or something like that one. You actually have to check the things. So the missing parameters can be due to two things. The field itself is missing in the form. Okay, say for example, whatever the get parameter, say for example, if I am asking for get parameter middle name, we don't have it in the form. Okay, so then it will actually return a null. Of course, like say for example, if somebody has not filled the last name, okay, then L name will go with an empty string. Okay, so basically like it will have this sort of, if you leave it blank, then it will go with an empty string. So whenever you are trying to read these parameters, you must always check for the null before checking for the empty string. Okay, so basically like say for example like so what you will be doing is like param request.get parameters on name, like you actually extract it. Then you have to check whether it is null, param is equal to null, or if the parameter dot trim dot equals null, that means like you have not entered anything, or like you just entered spaces. Okay, then you can do something for missing values. Okay, or else like you can do if not. Okay, so basically like that means like some value is added, then you can actually do something with that parameter. So you have to do always these sanitary checks, okay, so regularly. Great. That's about reading one parameter. So now if you want to read all the parameters sent as a request, Okay, so I already given you the method, like say for example request.get parameter names, you can actually get through that. Okay, so if you are trying to read all the parameters, how do you actually work with that one? Here is a source code which I will also be showing you in the demo. So again, like the basic thing, like I am creating a table with all these sort of values. So all the parameters I want to read. Okay, so parameter name and parameter values are the table headers. Okay, so this is basic HTML. So I don't have to explain all the things. Then the interesting thing is, like I am actually reading this enumeration parameter names. Okay, so request.get parameter names. So this will return me all the names of the parameters in that URL request. Okay, which is generated from the forms, and it will be returned in this enumeration. Once you have the enumeration using the basic Java methods, so this it has this methods like has more elements. So and you will repeat while this enumeration has more elements, and all you will be doing is like from these parameter names, like you will read this next element. So that means like then you are reading the next parameter, uh, which you will be reading into the string param name, and then like I am already putting the name as one of the table rows column, the first column, and then like I want to in the second column, like I want to put the values for that param. So interestingly, so in the earlier demo, like I have extracted only a single parameter. So there, like first name was repeated only once. So you are clear. But if you are trying to read all the parameters, you don't know whether that parameter has repeated several times or not. If it has repeated, so then you basically get this param values, request.get param values, okay, and param name. So if it has multiple values, then it will return you the array, okay, with all the values of that particular parameter. So then what I am doing is like if it has only one value, that means like it has come that parameter is has come only once. Okay. So then I have as I have already mentioned, like it will return you an array with only one value. So that means like I'm getting the first element from that array, and that's what I'm setting it as the parameter value. Then I'm doing the sanitary check. If it is 0, then there is no value. If its length is equal to 0, it has no value. If not, I am printing that parameter. Okay, so that means like what I am doing is like out.println, so it will basically appended here, isn't it? So you have the td which has gone table data, that means for that particular column. Okay, first column is the parameter name, second column you have already initiated here. Okay, and then like I put the parameter name. Okay, and then like I basically go out, and then like I close the table data. That's about if I have single that parameter has come only once. What if it has come several times? So now I have an array. Okay, say for example in our example, like OS is both Windows and Linux. Okay, so if that is the case, so if its length is not equal to 1, what I will be doing is like I will be creating an unordered list. Okay, and then like for each and every list item, like I am just adding this parameter values I. Okay, using a for loop. Okay, this is plain simple Java. Great. So then I am just closing the table. Okay, body and HTML. Okay, so this is how like you actually will read all the parameters in a form. Let's try to see it in the demo again. Great. So this is how like your original servlet has been. Okay. So handle opinion servlet is there. So okay, so I got this opinion as back. Okay, so that's the thing. And then like I already have whatever I have discussed in the slides, I have already added the source code for you. Okay, see, so every time I change something, like the Tomcat will dynamically automatically will take care of the updates. Okay, so you don't have to do anything. So the red screen which has popped, which is actually Tomcat is updating. So now the interesting thing is like I have added all the things. Okay, so basically the same source code which I have talked about. Okay, so let me not close this body slash HTML. Okay, so let me comment it out. Okay, so then the same source code which I have talked about, getting all the parameter names, and then like I'm putting the table. Okay, I'm creating this table. Okay, great. So I have got the source code, so I have extended my servlet with that one. The moment I save it, okay, So you will actually see like the Tomcat is automatically updating it. That's it. So then let's go back to the form again. Okay, it is already information is there. Now let me submit it again. Great. So this time, not just I am thanking the person who has added it, I have also read all the parameters sent by you. Okay, so F name, L name, laptop is yes. Okay, you have, and operating system it supports is Windows and Ubuntu. Okay, query one, so you know it whether you could submit the lapse in time or not. Okay, so you could work with all the examples and everything. So that was the query. The name for that one is Q1, so you got simple Q1 there. So that's it. So let's move back. So we have seen like how we can actually read through all the form values. We can also read this, for example, raw data. Okay, so for example, if you send by default files, okay, if you upload files, how you will actually read the things at the servlet. From the servlet, like you can again like request a get reader, okay, or like get input stream, you can read, and then like you can actually read the files, okay, and then like you can actually pass the uploaded files. HTML has a way of submitting the entire files within the form itself, like just like any other input, like you can actually specify the type as file, and then like you can select the file and you can actually submit it. Okay, so the servlets can actually process the files as well. So that's about the HTML form data. Okay, whatever the information you send, so you can actually process them. We have already seen the examples. I have shown you the demonstrations. Okay. While learning the HTTP, we have also seen like along with this sort of data, okay, you will also be sending a lot of HTTP will send a lot of header information. Okay, a lot of relevant headers, like we have learned about all of them while learning the HTTP protocols. Okay, so if you want to, the servlet can also process these headers as well, header information as well. If you want to process it like that, then you can read the get header. Okay, so a specific name you can give it, or like you can get all the headers, and then like with an enumeration you can actually repeat through them, get header names. Okay, and then like there are also specialized headers which you can actually check them. Say for example, get cookies, get authorization type, or get content length, how much content has come through the HTTP protocol, HTTP request, you can actually search through that. So get content type will basically give you text as HTML, it will give you, and get date header, get int header you can get, and also like you can also get relevant information, something like what is the method using which like the request has come. Say for example, in this case, like whether it is a get method or post method, you can get it. Get request URI also, like you can have access to get query string. You can actually read through get protocol, using which protocol it has come. All the information, all the header information as well, the servlet can process. It has access to all this information from the request object itself. So now if I want to get, say for example, all the headers, okay, so which has come to the server, I can again get header names, request.get header names, I can get through them. And then like I have, as long as I have more headers, has more elements, okay. So next element I will be reading, I can print the header name, and I can actually get this request.get header, that particular header name, okay. So this is how like you will actually be reading the headers. Let me show you the demo and let me explain you the extra source code which I have written for that servlet. So great. So now that you have all the parameters, so I am adding the additional source code which is required for reading through the headers, which is very simple. I'm just adding it to my HTML output which I am trying to send. So what I am doing is like I am trying to read this. I have additional methods as well in addition to the source code which I have shown on the slide. I have already discussed the method. Say for example, like I can get this sort of request.get method, which will basically give me the way like how I have submitted the form. Okay, and then like the other things which I have used is request.get request URI. I can get that one. Request.get protocol. I can read, and I am putting all this information, and then like I'm also reading all the other header information, all the headers which I have already discussed as part of the slides. Okay, great. Once I have that one, so I don't want to close the body here. So okay. Okay, but then like I want to close the table. So great. I am closing that table here. I am creating a new table. Okay, so with all the things. Okay, so with these new responses. Okay, for reading all the headers. So let me save that one. So the Tomcat has automatically loaded it. So here you can actually see it. So let me go back to the form again, and let me submit it again. See, that's it. Whatever the changes you have done, it is automatically added. So I'm reading all the parameters. I'm also reading through all the header information. So here is the source code for that. I am reading the method, which is get method. So the request URI is the form servlet. Okay. So request protocol is here. Okay. So and all the other header information is here. So user agent. Okay. So and then like accepted languages. So the connection, whatever the HTTP headers are sent, it will basically read through the things. So that's about it. Not just the form data you can read, but also like HTTP headers you can read through the servlets. Okay, and you can do whatever the processing. So at the end of the day, like the servlet is generating these sort of HTML pages as the responses. It's a little bit tricky if the response really becomes complicated. Okay, so servlets have certain limitations, so automatically you are generating all these HTML pages. Okay, so for these sort of things, like JSP is very good. Okay, which you will be learning as part of the uh, further lecture, further videos as part of the course. Okay, let's move back to the lecture again. So great. So we have seen like how you can actually read the form data, and also like we have seen like how we can actually read through the header information as well. At the same time, like you can actually set the status codes for the response. Okay, so you can actually set the these are all HTTP standard response status codes. We have seen like 200 OK and 404 not found and those things. Okay, while discussing the HTTP protocol, we have seen that one. So you can actually set them as response.set status in status code. You should not use default some constants. Okay, so all these standard constants are available at HTTP servlet response. Okay, so names derived from the standard messages, say for example sc underscore OK, which is basically like the response is OK 200 OK. So R like sc not found. Okay, so 404 not found. You can actually set them like that. Of course, like if you want to send an error, okay, for the request from the server, okay, something wrong has happened, you can actually send an error. So you can actually set the code, okay, and also like send a message, which is again like a small HTML page. You can actually wrap for that one. Of course, like if you can also send redirect, so you can actually redirect the request to some other URL. Okay, sets the status code to 302. Okay, sets the location response header also. So in this case, so using this method, send redirect method. So that's about processing the forms, etc. Okay. So again, as far as the references is concerned, okay, so I already mentioned like this is a very good book, Core Servlets and Java Server Pages. It's an open book. The book chapters are available, so the PDFs are already there on the link which I have provided. It has huge number of examples as well. Okay, so this is a very good reference for you to follow. Okay, occasionally like some of the slides I also have adapted from this link. Okay, so as I already mentioned in the previous video. Thank you very much for your attention.